Good morning. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be talking about speech sound disorders and kind of reflect on a discussion post that I just finished. So first, what is a speech sound disorder? In simple terms, it's when a child has difficulty producing sounds, specific sounds correctly. It can make their speech hard to understand, and the issues can show up usually as an articulation error. You often see that with the missing R sounds or the lisp that most kids have with an L. And a lot of times it can be phonological errors such as leaving sounds off, skipping sounds. If I were going to explain this to someone outside of education, it would basically be that the kid knows what they want to say and they're struggling to make it sound right and to say it clearly. So often it can come across as these cute little, they sound cute, but it can actually affect a student and their confidence and how often other people perceive them. As a special education teacher, I work with a lot of children who have speech disorders, and often it can cause anger issues in some of these kids. They struggle with being understood, they struggle with being heard, and that can be very frustrating if they can't communicate their wants or needs. This can also lead into their academics. I had a student who was a beautiful reader, could orally read stuff, and it was great, but spelling was a struggle for him. And as teachers, we often tell our kids to just sound it out, and you should be able to spell it using the rules and stuff. But we don't often take into consideration what happens when those sounds don't sound like my sounds. And so that can cause problems with academics and spelling, and reading can be an attributed problem. That if they're sounding out a word, but that doesn't sound like the word that I say, that can cause some confusion for a child. So that's something we as educators kind of need to take into consideration for our children, that we can't just blanket say, oh, just sound it out. That's not helpful. We need to kind of really think about making sure we articulate ourselves and model what those words should sound like. It can impact students both positively and negatively. Negatively, they can be teased by their peers. They can have poor grades. They can struggle in school and not really want to go to school. But on the positive side, with support and accommodations, they can feel very much included, in that they can still do the work even if it is a little bit harder for them. So, just being able to take into consideration those students as we're teaching them basic phonics skills, again, that they're probably tired of hearing, is something that we should kind of be aware of. So, thank you.